In this video, I'm addressing Elizabeth's question regarding how to organize your electronic clutter. Her biggest concern is making sure that her family understands where everything is, and so that should she pass, they know where to access things and they can actually take over any accounts that she has. And I'm joined today by my husband, Michael, who I want to say is the king of organization. And to help us out here with this, especially since we've just updated our trust to include our digital assets as well. So this will kind of be like a 2-for-1. So without further ado, here's how Swedish Death Cleaning is helping us organize all of our electronic clutter, and our trust is helping us make sure they get passed along to the folks we want them to.
Identify what's important to keep.
When you're looking to organize your digital assets as things start to come in, so if you're like me, you have an email inbox that probably has way too many emails in it, and it's a lot of things, a mixture of important things and junk and spam. And so you really have to go through your email and take a look as what is important to keep and what is not. Same thing with your photos and your videos. You know, what things are really sentimental. Michael loves to joke that he can't eat dinner until I take a picture of his plate. So yeah, I may have lots of pictures of the food we ate or the fancy drinks that we had, but are those really things that need to stay in my phone? You know, how long do I need to keep them? When do I get them off versus when do I need to put something really special, like say maybe we want a picture of us toasting our 30th anniversary. That may be something sentimental that we want to actually keep.
Create an electronic filing system.
With your digital records, be as specific in labeling your folders as possible. Instead of just Michael and Vicky and you have 1,000 different files underneath that, be very specific about, for example, if you have photos in your phone of a vacation in Hawaii, our Hawaiian vacation, and you also provide a date. And so I think that's how I keep a lot of my digital records straight, is I'm very specific about how I name each folder. I provide a lot of detail, in some cases the maximum amount of characters that Microsoft will allow. That way I can quickly identify it instead of guessing what exactly is in that folder. And then that way I think you got a much better handle on bringing all those bits of information together in a more consolidated file.
Back up your files.
And so in addition to doing that organization on your phone or on your hard drive, wherever you have your digital assets, Michael also does a lot of backups.
I do a lot of backups. With a laptop or a tablet, that's a good place to put your files, and in a lot of cases, now they are backed up to Microsoft OneDrive, which is also good, so it's backed up to the cloud.
For you PC users.
For you PC,
I have no idea what you do if you're an Apple user.
That's true. But I take it a step further. What if you have a virus and your laptop completely locks up and you can't access your files? So then what I do is put it in an external drive. So this is an external drive. This drive I've had for about 17 years now, and it holds about 450 gigabytes of information. How much is that? That's a lot of information. And it's worked fine for me. I've never filled this up at 450 gigabytes. And I think it probably cost back then maybe $20, $25. You can buy ones now that have a minimum of 1 terabyte. How much is 1 terabyte? That's double what this is, right? And you
Double plus.
Double plus. And you can buy them for 30 to 35 US dollars. The nice thing is you have this in a backup in a very compact way, and you can download every single file off of your laptop on here, including all of your pictures, all your PDFs, your Adobe Acrobat files, PowerPoint files, and you can keep that handy, and that's always there available to you in the event that anything goes wrong with your laptop or your tablet.
They still have thumb drives. You can probably use those. We got away from those because we kept getting them corrupted. bad areas, so we lose things. They were a little less stable than the hard drive there, the external hard drive.
Document your accounts and passwords.
One of the other things too, when you're looking at your digital assets, is everything requires a username and password. So you want to have some way that you are documenting your username and password for every single account that you have. And I know they say you're not supposed to write them down, but I'm sorry, sometimes we have to write things down. You want to get a list of all of that, and or use a password manager, but you want to be able to make sure that you have a single spot where everything is found, instead of having 5,000 pieces of paper, written around, and people don't know the whole inventory should they need to step in and kind of help you with something.
Your loved ones can step in at any time, and you let them know where that thumb drive is, or that Excel file, or that piece of paper that has all of your username and passwords on it, so they can help you out. Because if you're incapacitated, they can't help you out in any way.
Something could happen. We all think that we're invincible and nothing will ever happen, but sudden death is not so rare, and we want to be able to have that stuff where it's easily accessible for everyone.
Include your digital assets in your trust.
And so, speaking of sudden death and incapacitation, we just recently put all of our digital assets into our trust. So we just updated it with our trust attorney and getting that documented into our trust. And what that does is, just like with the rest of your assets, it names who can take over. However, it's only as good as the documentation that you put with it. So just because I put them in there, I still have to be able to say which accounts are what, how to get it, how to access them. So you want to check with all of your providers, whether you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, if you have a private website, etc., just to make sure on their policies and understand what they require. Most of them all will take your trust, but you just want to make sure. And as you're documenting and thinking you're putting in your trust, make sure that you speak with your trust attorney and make sure you got all your I's dotted and T's crossed.
Organize your trust documentation in multiple formats.
And so in documenting all of that stuff with the trust, our attorney is really great. She gives us several ways in which to access all of our documentation.
So for example, she provided this, what almost looks like a business card, but it's a USB file, and it pops out like this. And you can put this in any laptop, and all of our trust and will files are digitally prepared and ready to go on this basically business card USB file. And so, for example, our trustee can at any time, because we've made her aware that this is available, can access all of these files electronically. And it's probably a whole lot easier than, for example, this binder. So this binder has every will and trust document needed for our trust, but it can be quite cumbersome, right? So they can use this USB.
And the other thing too is, don't think that because you have electronic copies that you can ditch the paper, because you can't. 9 times out of 10, when someone needs to exercise the powers of attorney or exercise the trust, they're going to need the wet signature copy. So you can start with your digitals and they can come back and say, hey, no, I need the wet signature. So don't ditch your paper. Keep your paper somewhere organized, easily accessible for the people who need to reach it.
Digitize your paper documentation.
When we attempted to take over and exercise those powers of attorney for Michael's parents, a lot of times we needed to have documentation outside of the trust. So we needed to have those things such as their driver's licenses, social security, insurance cards, etc. And Michael did a really good job of not only finding them, but then making sure that everybody who was part of their care actually had those documents.
Biggest piece of advice I could give you is your smartphone is the best way to change, for example, a driver's license, an identification, a social security card here in the United States. Turn that into a digital asset by taking a picture of it with your smartphone. And that way, immediately, you have a digital asset or a digital version of that particular thing. And in a lot of cases, you may be asked, because if you have power of attorney over your parents' affairs or your loved ones' affairs, you're going to be asked for their identification, for their medical insurance card, for their Medicare card here in the United States, for their Social Security card, those types of things. And that's probably the best way to convert that.
Organize your digital files for easier trust administration.
And I would say after that, you're probably going to also have a lot of emails, right? So you'll have email conversations probably with doctors back and forth about bringing your parent in for a checkup, for example. So what I do in that particular case is I have multiple folders and they're titled very specific. For example, in my case, parents, we talked about identification cards. So I would take a picture with my smartphone and create a folder, parents identification, and put that identification into that folder. And create another one for medical insurance. So their medical insurance card, I take a picture of that, put that in there as well. The second piece of advice is keep your folders on whatever device you have, your laptop, your tablet. Keep them very specific as to what they are instead of just parents and you have 500 things, 500 files under that. Keep it very specific so that you can go to, the specific thing and locate what you need very quickly, because obviously time will be of the essence. You're probably going to be working at the same time that you're taking care of your loved one. And that should probably help you identify where it is.
Take it slow.
So Elizabeth, I hope that answers your question around your digital assets. Just like with physical assets, this is going to take some time. It did not get, an inbox full of 20 or 30,000 emails, overnight, and it's not going to be cleared out overnight. So just pace yourself, take your time, figure out, what matters, what doesn't. And just like Michael mentioned, whether have a lot of paper, digitizing them can also help you with that clutter. You still have it. You still have those memories. You can still go back to them, but they're not taking up space in your house, creating dust, etc.
Regularly organize and purge your digital clutter.
So just like with everything that we've talked about around trust and, decluttering, it is an ongoing process. It's never a one and done. So just like with revisiting your trust documentation and making sure that your physical clutter isn't getting out of hand, you want to do the same thing with your electronic clutter and make sure that you don't do all of that work to get that inbox clean and then you ignore it for 2 or 3 months and you've got another 1,000 that you got to clear out. So Michael is really good at doing things on a daily basis. I'm not as good, but I am much better than I used to be. But like I said, sometimes I'll just say delete all and just say, if it was really important, they'll get back to me. So if you made it this far with us, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next video.